Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It is another live stream. It is another Etch live stream. Today is going to be a masterclass on components. Mark says he's here for the bang prop target sound effect. The thing about today is there's going to be not a lot of banging on this stream, okay? Not a lot. And the reason is we are going to take a look, Mark, at the new object prop, the thing that a lot of people want to know about because it's a little confusing at first. It's a little like when you hear about it, you're like, what would that be used for? You know? Donata, welcome. Justin, welcome. Got Vovi in the house. Got Peter Heck in the house. Got a lot of good familiar faces. Ruben, Anjik. I'm probably just slaughtering half these names. JC. JC with the backup. Don't forget to hit the like button. You can't. Whoa, what? Hey, whoa. You can't take it back. You can't take it back. That's not how it works. And you know you never have to. That's the thing on these streams. You know you never have to. That's why real OGs pre-like. They pre-like the stream, okay? Because they know. Not gonna have to take it back. Not gonna have to take it back. Okay. We're gonna get right into this because we have a lot of stuff to do. Stripe Goat, good to see you. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna be working on today. Let me go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. See, I just saw a bunch of likes come up. Go ahead and pre-like that stream. Go ahead and pre-like that stream. I'm gonna go ahead and share. This is a very, very common use case. Very common use case. We're gonna do some blog post cards. I mean, we're just gonna keep it simple. Well, we think it's simple. But you see that, these sites do often have some complexity, and we have to talk about how to conquer the complexity. See how I'm pulling the alliteration just right out of thin air? We got to conquer the complexity. There's some things going on. There's some things going on this page. It's a very simple, like magazine style blog layout kind of thing. And we're going to be building our version right here. And let's just get into it. First things first, we have this ultra wide card. By the way, ultra wide website. Let me wet the palette a little bit. Ultra wide website to begin with. We've got these tall cards. So when they're in a grid of 3, they're stacked. When they're way up here, they're wide. You can see when they're wide, the heading gets bigger. We got a little category label. We've got a reading time. We're not going to do the views and the shares. We'll do the reading time. I think we can do that. We'll do the author down here. We'll just keep this meta. I call these like meta stuff, metadata, right? We'll just keep that nice and consistent. We won't bother. There's no reason to change that on the card variation. It's just needless nonsense. But you can see the heading changes. The padding changes. Like, look at this. Can I draw? Oh, where's my mouse? Where's my pro mouse? Here we go. Okay. You see this in here, right? That is padding, okay? That's not present up here because this is aligned with the content. So there can't be any padding up in there. So we've got padding changes when these things need to change. It needs to support even 2 up, right? And when it's 2 up instead of 3 up, it looks like that heading's a little bit bigger when it's a 2 up variation versus a 3 up variation. Do you guys know what we're going to use, by the way, to do these variations that we're looking at right now from wide to 2 up to 3 up? Do you know what we're going to use? Do you know? Pop quiz, can you put it in the chat? It's got to support 4 up. Got to be a 4 up variety here. Oh, Lord, look at these. What are we doing here? We've got a whole different kind of variation going on. I mean, same basic elements, same little heading with another little, I don't even know what you would call that, a tagline. This is like a heading into a tagline. We already got that little bit of complexity. All this stuff has to be accounted for. Okay, Patrick with the correct answer there. But who got it first? Let's be honest here. Not Addicted 1981 got it first. Okay, so points to him. 1,000 points to Not Addicted 1981. He's in the lead right now in our pop quiz format. Okay, so we got some variations to handle and tackle here. We are going to tackle a lot of those with container queries. We might get into a situation where we may want to be able to do it with props as well. This is shaping up to be a lot of work, I gotta tell you. This is shaping up to be a lot of work. I mean, you look at something, a designer hands you this, and you're like, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. It's just some blog post cards. But there's a lot changing here, a lot going on, and we've got to componentize it. We have to drop it into some loops. We got dynamic data. Let's go ahead and get it. Let's get it. Okay. I'm gonna launch Etch. I'm checking the chat while we're doing this. Looking really interesting. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad. Oh, wow. Float left. This is out of left field right here. All right, we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do floats. No to floats. We say no to floats around here. Let's turn off the styling panels. Okay, here we are. We've got a little, I think we have some blog post cards preloaded. Let's go check it out. I'm also, because I don't want a disaster on our hands with like my head covering up critical infrastructure as we do this. Where are my scenes? Okay, let's go screen only for just a little bit. I just want to make sure we don't go, we don't get, anything covered and ruin some stuff while we're gonna get into a world of shit right here, and there's gonna be a lot going on. I'm just gonna be honest with you, and I'm not gonna be thinking about what my head's covering up or where I'm at in the stream window. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is just check on our blog post. So we're kind of building a men's fashion website today, if you can get with me on this, okay? So we've got some sample blog posts in here. They've got images, and that's pretty much all we need to do what we need to do. So that's all loaded up, nice and easy. Let's go ahead and launch Etch. Now, the first step to building components, because components, my friends, are dynamic. Components can have props, they can have objects, they can have slots, they can have lots of stuff going on. They can be placed in loops, they can get their data from loops, they can have loops inside of themselves. That's a lot. So what you want to do is you want to start static. I'm crushing the alliteration game today. You want to start static, okay? Can you get that in your head? Start static, get it working statically, and then start to convert it into a component, and then start to put it into loops and get all of that dynamic data working, all right? And we are, just bring your face cam back for the rants. Okay, half the fun is is that crazed anti-crazy look in your eyes. Okay, I don't know if that's a compliment. I'm gonna take that as a compliment. Let's get after it. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw a section in here. And all we're focused on building is a component called a blog card. Or we're gonna call it a postcard. Or you could call it an article card. I like to call it a postcard these days. I don't know why. It's because it's a cute little name, okay? I'm gonna open this up. And I'm gonna go to cards. I'm not gonna use the card framework for this because I don't wanna, people are gonna be like, what the hell is that? They're already having trouble following along. Now we're doing a card framework thing. I don't know. That seems like people are gonna get lost. So we don't need to do all that. I'm gonna do flex div. I just wanna make sure I didn't have like some postcard already in here. We're gonna call this postcard. We are gonna make it an article tag. And then I'm gonna go ahead and we're just gonna take a look at what is our general structure. What like general elements are we going to need inside of this postcard? I'm gonna need an image inside of a figure tag over here, and I'm gonna need a content wrapper on this side. So let's just go ahead and add two flex divs. This one's going to be our content wrapper. This one is going to be our media wrapper. And while I'm here, I can just change that really quick to a figure tag, and I can drop some media in there. We can call this media. And then inside of my content wrapper, I'm always gonna drop a heading in first. That's gonna be the, well, we can just leave it as heading. That's really all it needs to be. And then we're gonna drop in, let's see how we wanna do. We're gonna need to group that like intro text, okay? I'm talking about this like light gray text. That's not part of the heading. That's not part of the heading. This thing is the heading. Now the question is it all gonna be clickable? Because in this, it's all clickable, right? Not the entire card, but the whole heading, the way the heading looks. I was doing air quotes, but you can't see me. So content wrapper heading, what we may wanna do is wrap that. So let's wrap that in a div, and let's call this the heading wrapper. Or we can call it the heading group, okay? And let's drop some text in there. And that can actually probably be, my friends, a paragraph, okay? We'll see how all this is gonna play out in just a minute. We don't have to worry about it right now. But let's call this the tagline. All right, so we've got the heading group with a heading and a tagline. We've got the media wrapper and the media. What else do we need? So we're gonna go back here. We're gonna need the meta wrapper, right? So we'll just call that meta. And then inside that, we're gonna do the reading time and we're gonna do the author. We're not gonna do, because for shares, you need data. For views, you need data, right? We're not gonna do all that stuff. Like analytics data is what I'm talking about. And you need database stuff for all that. We're not gonna get into all that, okay? We're gonna do a reading time. We're gonna do an author situation, okay? And that's all gonna be in a group called meta. So inside of this content wrapper, I'm gonna add another flex div, and this is gonna be called meta, and I can essentially drop just the 2 text elements I need in here. This will be the author. Actually, we'll do reading time first, and let's do the author next. I don't want these to be P's. I want them to just be spans, okay? All right, that seems pretty good. I've got the reading time, I got the author. It's probably gonna be an icon inside of the reading time. We'll handle that in just a minute. We're gonna need one of these cute little clocks, okay? Why don't we just go get that real quick? Let's go here, because I don't think I have that right now. Let's go clock. There it is right here. How about this one? Is that one good enough? Okay, there's like 8 million to choose from. Let's go download our clock. Okay, that's perfect. Let's open that, call it clock. All right, and we'll throw that into our media. All right, let's go here, clock, bang, pull it in, use this media. Actually, I don't even need to use it right now. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay, thank you. Save. All right. It copied it to my clipboard for me. That's what that's for. All right. So I think I've got all my elements. I mean, I want to kind of put reading time. I want to put like Kevin Geary. I want to put like, this is the tagline for the post. This is the post headline. Okay. So now we can kind of see better actual content. Let's throw this in here so we actually have an image to work with. My, oh my, oh my, it's coming along. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to right click this and create our BEM classes. I'm ready, like I got all my elements in there for the most part that I need. Let's go ahead and class everything up. And so now you can see we've got classes on every single element. We're free to begin our styling. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is tackle this content, this heading group situation, right? Heading group situation is gonna be hopefully fairly simple. I think in order to get these things to run into each other, to like bleed into each other, they're gonna need to be display inline. Okay, that works. That's fantastic. Hopefully it's like that when they shrink as well. Yeah, that's good as well. Okay, this is not a heading, right? So it needs the same line height as headings though. Now, if you're using a framework, like an intelligent framework, like not every framework. See, not every framework does this. I gotta edit what I say. If you're using an intelligent framework, right, you can do things like line height, heading line height, right? Because all those things are tokenized. All right, so now the tagline and the heading share the exact same line height. I'm gonna go up to the heading group and I'm gonna do font size of H3. Maybe I won't do it on the group. We'll do it on each one independently. Okay, so I'll come down here, font size H3. This will be font size H3. I'm not even thinking right now about my container queries yet. I'm just like, let's get a baseline going for this. This is gonna be color of text, dark but muted, right? So that's gonna get us the nice little gray. This has to be, if we look here, that's capitalized, okay? So the actual real heading is capitalized. And the other one, text, what? Transform, capitalize, okay? That we're just gonna leave alone. We're gonna put a gap in this group. Let's display this of flex. Let's put a gap of 0.5 em. 0.25 em, save. Okay, that seems good there. Do Do we want to? Do we want to make these H1s just to start with? Let's build this big wide card first. I don't want that to be controlled like that. I want that to be, I want to control this from the group. I don't like the idea of bouncing back and forth on those two things. Font size H1. There we go. Let's just control them both from the parent. This is just like, all right, select all the direct children, change their font size. Okay. All right, that's good there. Let's get this meta situation under control. Little text, probably like an XS situation. Display that of flex direction of row, and let's go gap of 0.25 em as well. Okay, I think that's pretty decent for at least right now. We can do some details later. Content wrapper here, content gap divided by 2. Okay, so we'll tighten that up. That's looking pretty good. All right, first, now we're gonna start thinking about the container query situation, because obviously, if we look at this, we are only gonna break that to 2 columns at a certain size, right? So it's not 2 columns here. It's not, it only goes to 2 there, which I would say is like, I don't know, that's a little early in my estimation. And they're using hard breakpoints. You see that things are not fluidly scaling, they're jumping. And so, you know, ours is gonna be a little bit smoother. All right, so what I'm gonna do is right-click, right-click, add container query, and then we're just gonna throw out a number. I don't really care what it is. And actually, in fact, if we look at this on the front end, we're not, our content width is not the same as theirs. Theirs is a very wide site, okay? I'm guessing it has a stopping point. It's not like 100% fluid. Let's turn off that, there we go. Let's see if they have a container. So, oh dear Lord. Okay, okay, pick your div. Shoot. Let's see, enter. Okay, 1730. Why 1730? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think they pulled that out their butt, right? Let's why don't we round that? Why don't we do 1750? Let's go to layout, website dimensions, 1750. And we'll just do 1750. We don't have to, you know, I don't know. Where did the 30 come from? Why 30? Okay, now if we refresh, there you go. Now we're stretching. You see? We still have a gutter, and we can still control the gutter, but we're stretching now. We're wide now. All right, and now we know 1750 is kind of the max of our website. So we're saying it greater than 1,000. Let's go ahead and display this as a grid and go grid template columns of grid 2. All right, so there's where we're gonna get a 2-column grid. Oh, and there we're gonna see a problem with our little heading situation here. Yeah, I was wondering if that was gonna work. I was wondering if those were gonna properly bleed into each other. I think you can do some sort of break word nonsense. I didn't want to have to tackle this that early. Okay, so I'm gonna cut corners for the purposes of keeping the stream going, because everybody really they didn't come here to be like, how do you put 2 lines together in without making them both into the heading. They came here for components. You came here for we're trying to work our way to the component situation, okay? This is the post headline, so I'm just gonna write a span in here. This is the what do we call it? Tagline. This is the post tagline, like that. Okay, and I don't think they have any punctuation. And now from the heading, we're just gonna select our span, and we'll do essentially the same thing. So color, text, dark, muted. Okay, color, text, dark, muted. There we go. And what else text transform. We can do none. Okay, that'll put it back to the way that it was. And then this can be display. How about display inline flex now? Inline, oh, no, that's not gonna do it. I'm wondering, by the way, if maybe I just needed inline on the group, I don't know. Okay, let's not worry about it that much. Let's go margin, inline start. 0.25 or something. Just pop that away just a little bit because I think it's just supposed to look like it's normal spacing. And then we can go font weight of 400, okay? Save, boom, bing, bang, boom. We're done, okay? All right, now what we're gonna do is we're going to justify all of that stuff to the center. Justify content to the center. That's gonna go down there. Oh, you know what we forgot? We did not throw in, let's go postcard, content wrapper. Where's that need to be? This little category tag. Probably just sits up there in the content wrapper. Okay, so let's throw in, I believe it's a link. But we're just gonna make it text for right now. Category, we'll throw a little category badge together. Postcard, category, bang, just like that. Max inline size, max content, font size, text XS. Color is fine. Background of neutral light. Yeah, good. Padding 0.5 Perfect. Okay, how about some line height? Line height of 1. Great. Border -1. Great. Fantastic. All right, we got a little category badge. Okay. Text transform uppercase. Bang. Okay. Sweet. I like it. If you're like, that's not small enough, you can always abandon the tokens, right? And you can just go 0.75 0.65 like, you know, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to live by the token. What's the spacing look? It's pretty even spacing. It's pretty even spacing. Okay, I think we're pretty close. We're pretty close. Maybe bolding it. Font weight 700. Probably shouldn't spend too much time on all the little details so we can get to the, there we go. I mean, God, this is just getting gorgeous. It's just getting absolutely gorgeous. How about we throw our SVG in to our reading time? Let's go there, let's go there, let's go there, let's go there, let's go reading time, let's go select the SVG, let's go font, inline size, 1M, make it the exact same, display that as flex, and gap it of 0.5 sweet, 25 0.5 0.25 who knows, okay? How about we, I mean, you could order this. Doesn't really matter. I would honestly put like a aria hidden on that. It's just a decorative little SVG. Doesn't really matter. Okay, post meta. Post meta, we need these little dashes. Guys, let me tell you right now, you throw in literal elements for these dashes, I will find you and hurt you, okay? Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna select all the direct children. Actually, not all of them. Well, I mean, we could do all of them to start just so you see what happens, but we're gonna, let's just do that. We'll work our way to there. So we're gonna add a pseudo element to them. Content, we're gonna go width of 2 characters, height of 1 pixel, background of red, just get something on the screen, display of flex. I think it's already there. They're just probably floating. There they are, way up there. Flex direction row. How about we align all those items to the center? Maybe we don't want to do that on, maybe we just want to align self. How about that? Maybe align self to the center. There we go. Look at this, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, that is display flex. This is not display flex. How about we take that display flex? How about we force all of these direct children to be display of flex? Golly, look at this. Look at this. Okay, we're gonna take our little dash and we're gonna margin inline it, 0.5 something like that. Fantastic. Okay, I think I could maybe come back here. I don't think. I'm covering a little HTML. Are we okay with that? Just like a slight coverage of the H. I think we're gonna be okay. All right. Let's see. Blueface, new version, Etch. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to live by the token. I'm not keen on writing everything like this. Don't worry, you're not going to have to. We have plans in the works for, yeah, you're not gonna have to. You're not gonna have to. You're not gonna have to use a styling panel, and you're not gonna have to write it all like this. So it's just gonna be fantastic. You just wait. You just wait. But you should be able to write it all like this, and I am moving faster than if I was using a style panel. Okay, here we go. So if you notice, we have 2 red dashes. We don't really want 2 red dashes. We really only want them ahead of, by the way, where did that SVG go? Did that go into the span? Into the span. Text, reading time. It is in the span. Okay, that's good. Meta, direct child display, flex. Okay, all we're gonna do is we're gonna put a not and say not first child. That's all you do. You just exclude the first child. Now everything else will just have a dash in between it. I think we have a little bit, oh, we do have a gap right there. So we're gonna zero that gap out so that the margin inline takes care of all the spacing. Okay, I like that, I like that. All right, we don't need that gap to be, or that thing to be red anymore. We want it to match our text. So we're just gonna use the text dark token, and doesn't matter what the text color is, it'll always match the text color. All right, how are we liking this? Are we feeling good about our first card variation? Margin block start 0.5 em, something like that. I'm wondering, maybe that should be the bottom. Maybe that should be the bottom. End. There we go. That'll make it look like these 2 things are grouped and these are a little bit more separated. That probably looks a little bit better, honestly. Probably looks a little bit better. Okay. I'm enjoying, yeah, see, you know, some people do enjoy writing it. But again, you're not gonna have to. You're gonna be able to do it however you wanna do it. Okay, but we got our first thing. Now what we're gonna do is take care of our container query situation. So we could create a component, we could do props, and a prop could be like, is it wide? Is it tall? Is it this? Is it that? We'll get to a little bit of that, but I would say you should not engineer this that way. You should engineer it so that it automatically adapts depending on the available space, and not have to have somebody sit there and click a little thing like, make this one wide, make this one tall. Like, it should just naturally adapt to its space. And that's what we're gonna use container queries for. And that's essentially what we already started with down here. Can I zoom in on that? So we said, hey, if the container inline size, just read this in your brain as if the available space, that's how you read that. If the available space is greater than 1,000 pixels, do these things in here, which is essentially making it 2 columns instead of 1. It's 1 by default. So this is already responsive, okay? It's already responsive. Now what we're gonna do is take care of, okay, well, what happens if, and by the way, let's convert to list, okay? Because you want list to be going on with these container queries. So this will be called a post list. All right, post list, bang, just like that. Okay, so now we have our list item, we have our article card. Great, fantastic. Let's duplicate our post list, but on this post list right here, let's just start making this a grid. So let's say like grid, how about 2? Let's work our way down. Let's work our way down. So we started with 1, it's gonna look like this when it's super wide available space. And now we're in a situation where we have less space because we're putting these in a 2-column grid. I'm going to duplicate that list item, and now we can see that we have 2 of them. Okay, so the first thing you wanna do is you wanna grab it and you wanna measure it, right? So you're looking and say, all right, it's 655. This is essentially the amount of space that I have, which I will say, if you're doing a very wide website, it's a pain in the ass because I bet these are actually on the front end wider than that. They for sure are. They for sure are. See, whenever you're in an interface, right, they're 822. They're 822. They're not 6 whatever, okay? Now I can hide the interface and that's gonna help me a little bit. It's gonna give me a little bit more room to work with, right? So I can use this toggle to hide and show the interface. So when I don't have a sidebar, right, I'm gonna reclaim that available space and see a better rendition of the true size on the front end. But that's one thing to be aware of. Anytime you go wide with a website, you are creating additional complication. You are, and not much benefit. Let's be honest, for not much benefit at all. You're creating extra headaches and you have to decide, is it worth the extra headaches? I'm doing it because it's the demo that we're trying to do here. Okay, what the hell happened to their site? Let's refresh. What has oh, okay, I was zoomed in. Well, their site is not accessible, right? It completely, I mean, I guess it is, whatever. It turns into an absolute shit show when it's zoomed in. Okay, I'm just copying what they did, essentially. Just copying what they did. All right, so we just have to know that on the front end, the measurements are more like 822. We know that over 1,000, it gets big. So now it's a matter of like, if we're measuring here or even in the builder, right? Like this, see how the measurement is gonna change for me? So I'm gonna say, if we're over 700, when do I really want, let's make a third one. It might help to make a third one. Okay, let's get our interface back here. Let's duplicate that post list. Let's grab this post list and grid 3 instead of grid 2. We'll take grid 2 off. And then we'll duplicate that card right there. Let's come down. Make sure you're duplicating list items and not cards. Very important. Okay, let's go to the front end. So now we have a situation where we have 2 and we have a situation where we have 3. And we can really start to see here. So let's measure 3 and see what we've got here. All right, let's get out of responsive mode and just measure the LI. All right, so I'm gonna say that under 500, no, under 550. Under 550, that's our final destination. Under 550, that's as small as we're gonna get it. I think that's the only other variation that we're gonna make is under 550, okay? So let's go in, let's maybe handle that first. All right, so greater or equal than 1,000. I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna say less than 550, less than 550, all right? And it seems to be calculating that as less than 550 right now. So what if I made the background red? Okay, you could see that we're doing things to it. And you can see that we're doing things to that's not happening to these others. You see? You see? Okay? So we know we're affecting the right thing at the right time. So now what we're gonna do is, and you could do this from the parent or you can go element by element. There's pros and cons to both. Eventually we want it to be, it doesn't matter. You can do it either way and you see everything from everywhere. You see everything everywhere all at once, okay? But I right now go element by element by element. So like the first thing I wanna do is, and this is, a lot of people have asked me, Kevin, why would you ever need to tokenize media queries? Hey, this is a prime example of why you would want to tokenize media queries. Prime example, okay? Because you're gonna see what's about to happen, right? So I'm gonna come down here and take this container query, inline size less than 550, and I'm gonna say order -1 on our image right there. And actually, this needs to happen on both of these, okay? Okay, let's go. You know what? Actually, order -1 could be the default. It could just be the default. Let's just do that on all of them. But greater than 1,000, so this little line right here, greater than 1,000, we'll just swap it. We'll just swap it. Because that's the only variation where this needs to swap the order. It's the only one. So there's no sense in doing it on all the others and not this one. Let's just do it. Let's just change it on this one. Okay, so we're gonna go down to the media wrapper right here. Perfect. Order -1 and greater than 1,000, just swap it. Order 1, okay? All right, so that's handled. So now we're right out the gate, we're looking pretty good, okay? These grids aren't responsive yet, so don't worry about those. All right, so what we're gonna do now is handle these heading sizes. Clearly here is fine, okay? That's like an H1 size. Now this next one here, okay, let's go to the heading itself. Postcard heading, postcard. Did I do this from the heading group? I did. Okay. Well, we got rid of the group, so we don't even need that anymore. Let's edit that. Let's go to the actual heading itself. Font size H1. Okay. And maybe because this is never actually going to be an H1. Never actually going to be an H1. So let's take that container, boom, boom, like that. and say font size of H1, okay? So now it's only affecting that one. This one looks like an H2 because it literally is an H2. And then this one down here needs to look like an H3. This one down here needs to look like an H3. Do you guys see why you would want to tokenize media queries? Because right now I would have one called card small, card medium, card large, or something like that. And I wouldn't have to worry about these numbers anymore. These numbers, and because these numbers could change as we make adjustments, tokenizing media queries would be very, very, very helpful here. Very helpful here, okay? All right, so I would say less than, let's go to the heading. We've got a, okay. Let's just insert another one of these. And let's say less than, and let's say 600. I don't remember what we put our number at. Font size of H3. So that essentially, let's refresh on the front end. When we have a big wide card, we're looking like an H1. When we have a double up, we're looking like an H2. And when we're small, we're looking like an H3. I think that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and clear the gap out of this card. So we're gonna go gap of 0. And we're gonna take this content wrapper and we're gonna go padding of space M. But remember, at our inline size greater than 1000 pixels, we don't want any of that padding. Okay, so we're just gonna clear that padding out. So now I have no padding in this variation up here, and I've got padding in these variations down here. Now, do I want it M? Do I want it S? I'll probably want it S. Let's refresh on the front end. Fantastic, okay? Let's take this headline and heading, text, wrap, balance. Let's see if that breaks it. Nope, it's not gonna break it. Let's go max inline size of 20 characters. Let's see if that breaks it. That breaks it. That's looking much better. That's, look at this. Look, look at this. Okay, so without any components, without any props, we've taken care of the responsiveness issue where it's like, okay, if I stick this card in a place where it doesn't have enough space, what is going to happen to it? Well, we already now know what's gonna happen to it, okay? It's gonna conform like this. Now, one detail I'm noticing, the little category badge, we lose that when it's not the super wide version, okay? So we're gonna come in here, we're gonna grab that little category badge, we're gonna drop another container query in, and we're gonna say greater than 1,000, no, less than 1,000. We're gonna display that as none. And so we're gonna lose that from every card except our big ones, okay? That is excellent. All right, let's see. I'm just checking chat real quick. Why use rim there? Haven't seen that previously used. Okay, so container queries and media queries, very, very important, but container queries for sure very important. You have to remember that people can go to their browser settings and they can change, I don't even know where you do it in Dia, honestly, but they can change the root font size and they can make things bigger. Well, guess what? What happens when you make things bigger? Available space changes. You made decisions on available space and they just change the available space. And now all your stuff's gonna break, right? So you've gotta use rim, but nobody likes using rim because rim doesn't make sense to anybody's brain without doing a bunch of math over and over and over again. So in Etch, you can work in pixels, but we will output the pixel value in rim for you. So you're always working in a format that makes sense, but the technical output is handled for you on the back end. All right, so that's good. All right, now I think we're ready to componentize. So like, remember I said, get it working statically, and then you can start to turn it into a component. Let's make sure we can, are we working with a grid of 4? Let's check that real quick. So let's duplicate that. And let's say, instead of grid 3, let's do grid 4, okay? And look at this. I mean, we still have, obviously, I mean, it's you know, nothing earth-shattering, but like, nothing breaks, right? Nothing breaks. I am noticing that there could be a scenario where we don't have enough space for, yeah, see, like that kind of thing might happen. So what we're gonna say is, what is the property for this? Text wrap, no wrap, okay? And actually, I'm just gonna do that. Let's do that on the meta. Let's do that on the meta. And remember I just selected all children like that? How about we say all children text wrap, no wrap, and then flex wrap of wrap. So they're allowed to, this should be on the parent. By the way, this is a force of habit that I delete that and then repaste it up here. You can literally just bump it. See that? Oh, look at that magic. Look at that magic, okay? All right, that's good for right now. At least we're not getting an overflow situation. We could fine tune this a bit and how this this dash is working, but I just wanted to make sure we didn't have any overflow breakage. All right, we're looking really, really, really good. All right, let's go ahead and componentize. That's what you came for. This is the part you came for. First thing I'm gonna do, because now we know this works everywhere, I don't need all these. So I'm just gonna get rid of them all. I'm just gonna work with one. We're gonna componentize the postcard, okay? Now, very important here. This is where you make a decision. You wanna make a decision here, okay? Do I want to manually control my props, like heading, category badge, which we already know that's dynamic data, a little bit of complication, reading time, the author, the media. Now I'm gonna tell you how you answer this question. There is a formula for answering this question. And it's a question you ask yourself. You would just ask yourself this question. You talk to yourself like I do all the time. And it's a simple question. It's this. Am I ever going to use a static, like let's say non-looped, no loop, right? Just a static instance of this card. Now, there are some kinds of cards where you would. I would argue that there is no scenario where you would take a blog post card and not put it in a loop. Because where are you going to get the data from? Like, and you're not going to manually write a heading. You're not going to manually put in an image. You're not going to manually link this to somewhere, right? So it's always going to be in a loop. Can we agree on that? It's just wherever it occurs, it's going to be in a loop. So you don't need props. You don't need any of these props right here. None. Like in the past, you would. This is what Mark was talking about. He came for the bang bang, right? So you would do something like this. You would like heading, bang, right? And you would target that and make that your head. You don't need this. Let's not do that anymore. Let's not do that anymore. Okay. Let me exit this real quick. Let me go back in. Okay. So I don't want to break anything right off the bat. All right. So you don't need to do that anymore. Let's not do that. If this card, if this component is always going to exist in a loop, then what you really want is the object prop. That's really the prop that you want, right? So you're gonna go here, and we're gonna start right off the bat with this, okay? Now, you could do the other props and manually link them up and all this other stuff, but really, really, really what we want is the object prop. And I'm gonna explain the object prop because when you first hear about it, by the way, I'm just gonna show you, because a lot of people are like, we need documentation. Yeah, you have documentation, okay? So we're gonna go to component props, and we're gonna go to object prop. All right, so you can look, why does the object prop exist? Adding an object prop, using the object prop, previewing the data, okay? Using your command. Okay, it walks you through it. But I know people like to see, hear, smell, taste, touch, right? Okay? If you want to taste, touch, even smell, you're gonna need to pay extra. But that's a secondary topic. Okay, so all this does, don't overcomplicate this. All this does is it looks outside of the component and says, is there a data source floating out there somewhere that I can pull data from and inject it into this component? And the answer is yes, there's gonna be a loop. When we use this card, we're gonna put this card in a loop, and this component's gonna look at that loop and be like, I want your data. And it's gonna pull that data in, and it's gonna put it in all the right places for us. That's essentially what the object prop is doing, okay? All right, so this box, by the way, this is V1 of object props. This is not the proposed end workflow for object props. All right, this is there's actually an entirely separate layer that is being constructed for this object prop. This is the layer we have to work with right now. So just understand that. Okay, I've had to say that caveat the entire year of development in all these other different areas, so you should understand it by now, right? This is you can make it work. You can make it work. Is it the absolute best user experience imagine? No, obviously not. It's functional. That's what it is. It's functional. The biggest thing to understand about this box you're looking at right here is this is for preview purposes only. The component and the loop and the dynamic data and everything will work without putting a single thing in this box. This box can stay empty. However, you won't be able to see anything on the canvas, okay? Now, if you want to see something on the canvas, and I'm talking about when you're not using the component. When you use the component, you'll see it, okay? But if you add a component to the page, it's not in a loop, it has no data source, you'll just see blankness. You won't see anything unless you put data in here. This is essentially for previewing what you're doing. And then when you use it, none of what you put in here actually matters, okay? So we're gonna start, and it's just mapping keys and values. This is gonna be like the heading, okay? Or the title. Now you kind of wanna match these to, because you want the preview to resemble the actual dynamic data keys that you're gonna be using in the loop. So it is very helpful to use those same exact keys. But let's say this, okay, so my post title. Let's just stop there and let's just see if we're able to map this, okay? So we're gonna take this headline right here. Now the difference when you're using dynamic data, remember you used to do item dot? Okay, item dot is for loops. We're not in a loop. We're going to be in a loop, but we're not gonna access the data using the item, okay? We're going to access the data using this object prop, and I like to call these source, okay? Because I don't honestly know what the source is yet. We haven't put it in a loop. And you could use a myriad of different loops to pull data into this component. So I'm just calling it a generic name of source. Get the source title, okay? Source.title. So how does this work? It's still props dot source, the object prop, dot title, my post title. So you see my post title, my post title, my post title too. So now I'm previewing whatever keys and values I put in here. And by the way, you can give yourself extra real estate if you want. Notice that with container queries, you are going, like if you take away the available space, you are gonna see a different variation, okay? We're gonna have a zoom out button because what you really need to be able to do is just zoom yourself out of the canvas and see it as desktop, even though you don't have enough space for desktop. So that's another kind of feature that's coming as well. But you can see right there that, we got the post title mapped in. I'm not gonna do this tagline quite yet because I don't even have a custom field for it yet. So we're just gonna leave that like that. What about reading time? So I'm just gonna say reading time and we'll say 5 minutes, something like that. So now what if I came down here to this reading time and I said props.source.reading time? It's gonna say 5 minutes. Look at that. What if I said that the author is Kevin Michael, right? That's my rock name, okay? You always use the middle name, right? You gotta have 2 first names to be famous, apparently. So I'm gonna take, and you can just take this, by the way. You can just take these keys, you can inject them wherever you want. All right, I'm just gonna come over here and I'm gonna put that in, but instead of reading time, it's gonna be author, right? And now it says Kevin Michael, right? Now I'm gonna say that I want the featured image, all right? And then this is gonna be a URL to a featured image. What if we grabbed this one? Okay, let's come down here, copy the URL to clipboard, bang, pop that in, okay? And then come over here. We can do this in the source field over here, props.source.featured image. Oh, there's an image. Look at this, look at this. So all I'm doing here is I just have one prop. I just have one prop and I'm building out keys and values for what I want to be able to preview in this thing. But like I said, this is not required for this thing to function, okay? It's not required for this thing to function. But what happens when I exit now, okay? I have my little component. I have this is very clean over here. All I have is a source box, okay? Now, let's say, take this list item. How about we wrap this in a loop? I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna choose maybe recent posts. We're gonna edit this in just a second, okay? So recent posts, and then I'm gonna choose item, okay? And it's gonna look in here for my data, okay? Let's go ahead and save. Why did I do basic nav? I don't wanna do basic nav, okay? Recent posts. Like, you see what I'm saying? It just got its data. It just grabbed its data. Now, we have a problem right here with the, what is that, the author, okay? Because I didn't get the key right, because I wasn't doing that part yet. Let's go to the loop and actually look at kind of the keys that, because a lot of people are like, what? I don't know the keys, Kevin. I don't know what WordPress gives you as keys. So that's okay. Look at this. Recent posts. Here is all the keys and all the data, okay? So you're able to go through here and you want to find something like the author, whatever is broken, right? What's broken? There's reading time right there. Reading time is in camel case. It's not, there's no, I put an underscore, it's camel case. And here's author, but it's author dot nickname, no, author dot display name, probably the display name. That's what we want. Author dot display name is the key we want. So I want reading time and I want author dot display name. Those are the two keys I need to fix, okay? All right, so let's go back in. And we saw instead of author, we want author dot display name, okay? And then we want reading time in camel case, reading time in camel case, okay? Now we're gonna come down here, author dot display name. You want these essentially to match, okay? Author dot display name. Okay, we'll come back to that in just a second. And then I want to get my reading time in here. Okay, reading time. We need to camel case that. That comes back, okay? Let's just save that and see if we recovered either of those. There we go. There's your 4 for 4 minutes. And that is an author name. Even though, because this is a generated sandbox. This is what they do for author names, unfortunately. I wonder if I could fix that real quick. Let's go back here. Let's go to plugins, users. There, yeah, see, there you go. Nickname, display name. Okay, so let's go Kevin Michael, right? The rock version. Okay, let's choose Kevin Michael. Let's update profile. Okay, and let's I want to make sure we save this. All right, let's refresh. Okay, and there you go. There's Kevin Michael. Okay, so notice that we didn't have to map all these props. All we did was put an object prop in here. We're telling it where to get its data from, okay? Item, right here, loop recent post as item. Here I come down here, source is item, so that's where it's getting its data from, and it's injecting it to all the places that I told it to inject to. Now, with the reading time, right? Okay, so I said 5 minutes. What we really want, because what it gives us is just the number, and then we want to statically put in min, all right? And then that way, that's going to, let's refresh on the front end, okay? Oh, I have a typo or something. But it's gonna put for min statically. For min, save. Let's try that. Okay, let's see if that works. There we go, okay? Perfect. Now, obviously we have a aspect ratio issue with our card that we wanna fix. So I'm gonna come immediately here, object fit cover, aspect ratio, 1.5/1. Let's save. Let's refresh. That looks much better. So when it's a list, it's gonna look like this. Now, what about when it's, I'm gonna exit this now, and let's just change our post list, okay? Let's say display this as a grid template columns of grid 3. Look what it's gonna do. It's gonna morph, okay? Now, with the loop, because we're using an object prop, you could, let's do this. Let's go a step further. We learned this in our loops. First of all, I hate that this is called recent post. We're gonna fix that. It should not be called recent post. It should just be called post. And its key should just be post. There's no such thing as recent in modern looping, because what you would do is you would use arguments to change the actual quantity, date, and things like that. That's what I'm about to show you. So I'm gonna go out of here. It's gonna break whenever you change the key, so we're gonna have to fix that. There we go. Now everything works again, okay? Because I'm calling the right post. So now this is named the correct thing. So one thing I'm gonna do, very easy, right? You can come in here and go quantity, count, whatever you want to do. This is called an argument. It's essentially like a variable. It's like a placeholder, okay? And what that allows me to do is when I come to a loop, I'll zoom in down here, I can literally use that argument, right, to customize, you don't need any semicolons, to customize that loop, right? So I can have multiples of the same loop. Like watch, I'm gonna duplicate this. Let me zoom back out. I'm gonna take this post list and duplicate it. And this one, I will say, let's go brand, okay? I'm just gonna do this at the ID level. Grid template columns. This is just for demonstration purposes. Grid 4, there you go, okay? And then I wanna take that loop and say this one, 4, right? So look at the top one's giving me 3, bottom one's giving me 4, but these are the same, it's the same loop. It's the same loop. I can just control how it outputs on a per instance basis. Really, really powerful, okay? I don't need a recent post loop, a featured post loop, this loop and that loop. Usually you just need a post loop. And then you can use arguments to control and manipulate how the loop actually outputs the content, okay? So there we go with that. That's nice. That's the object prop. That's basic making a component. We will talk about, if you want me to, I mean, I've done it in a bunch of videos, like manually mapping props to parts of a component. But you know, people have seen that. You haven't seen the object prop. That's why I want to just show you an example that uses the object prop. Let's see. Let's go to chat. By the way, questions, hashtag cue them. Let me also go to in components here. Let's take a look at any, oh yes, the heading, okay? We need to talk about dynamic elements, the element, if you will. But I think we're pretty clear. I want to talk about loop versus object because that's very confusing for people. Media, I think is super straightforward. Like, and you've seen me do it a gazillion times. I don't think we have to talk about that. Select prop we'll use in just a minute. Boolean, I think it's pretty straightforward. I've shown that a million times, but if you want to see it again for some reason, let me know. I think the select prop we need to talk about for sure. And then we need to talk, we do need to do a slot situation. We'll do something completely different for the slot situation. Yeah, okay. Let me go back to, let me just look at chat real quick. All right. Well, hello, pop-up chat. This wasn't on the schedule as of last night. Cool. Pop-up chat. I don't know what we're talking about here. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, we have a little spammer in our midst, right? There's Lovable now. Okay. Yeah, go use Lovable, bud. Go use Lovable. Let me know how that works out for you. Okay, let's keep reading. Okay. Somebody wants me to build a docs platform. Let me tell you, moving to Docusaurus is probably the best move we've ever made in terms of documentation. It's fantabulous. Fantabulous. Okay. Okay, I don't know. And nobody's like, dude, I'm so confused. I'm so lost. I'm so this, I'm so that. I noticed that the big card sometimes has the image on the left. Is it possible to make the component automatically switch? All right, now, Andre, I'm going to do this for you one time, okay? But I'm noticing that your question is missing a hashtag queue. And you're just lucky that I came across it, because normally this would get lost, right? Normally this would get lost, but I did happen to come across it. So yeah, if you wanted one thing that we could talk about maybe doing, right, is, by the way, if you just click these little handles, they'll return back to full width or whatever. Just little things here and there, quality of life, right? Okay, let's exit this for a second. We could talk about still having card variations, like as a select, where we say, I want to force it to be wide. I want to force it to be tall. Oh, there's that other thing. If you guys wanted to, like there's this variation. We didn't even get to that variation. I mean, we could do that variation as well. And this would actually be a selectable style. This would not be based on container queries. This would be a selectable style that you would use in the select dropdown on the actual component. That's probably pretty interesting to look at. And that'll allow us, this will all this will all allow us to explore the select prop, which we wanted to do anyway. So let's go ahead and do that. Before I do that, is there anything that you need to see again, or I need to reiterate on the object prop? I know it's new. It's a little bit more advanced, right? Let me know. Yeah, you could just ignore Claflin. I mean, he's not here. One, he has no idea what he's talking about, and two, he's not here for the right reasons. He just wants to troll. And you know that the thing you should know about trolls is that they're broke. They're broke. They don't have anything better. They don't have client work to work on. Like that's why they're just trolling all the time. So you know, you don't want to be like them. All right, let's see. Is there another one? Is there a second one? Yeah. Yeah, there's a second troll. So it's fine. We love them too. It's fine. All right, so nobody's saying, hey, you know, I need to know this or that about the object prop. So I'm just gonna assume that all made sense. I'm just gonna assume we're good to go. Let's explore this concept of creating maybe some variations. We could start with, let's go here and let's take that out and let's go quantity 1, where we would just have one big featured one right here. And we can use this as our dummy to figure out how we want to handle maybe putting one on the right or the left, maybe doing a wide variation. I'm just gonna, I haven't, these things have to be worked out on the fly as you go, okay? I'm gonna add a select prop and we're gonna say style, okay? And one thing to know here is the first line is essentially the default, okay? So I'm just gonna say default, like that could be one option. Another one would be wide left and then wide right. Wide left, wide right. Trying to think about this. And then we're gonna have another option in a little bit, okay? But for right now, let's just try to maybe do wide left, wide right. Now by making that select prop, what's gonna happen is if I save this and I exit, I just want you to, we're gonna piece these things together. You're gonna have this style selector over here where I can go, I want it to be wide left or wide right. Now, obviously that's not tied to anything right now. It's not doing anything, but this is what that gave us. And you can think about when I'm using my card, if I wanna force one of these wide styles, right? I could potentially do that. And I actually I haven't even explored how these things would interact with container queries, actually. So we're gonna have to work through how we might force this and not let the container queries take over, right? Okay, it's interesting. These are the things you should play with and experiment with, and you can learn a lot as you go. So one thing we want is we want to output the style somewhere. Like I need a reference for the style. Where is that? How am I gonna know, like when I'm targeting with CSS, how am I gonna know what the style of the card is? Well, very simple. I'm gonna take the entire card itself and I'm gonna add a data attribute, right? Add a data attribute. I'm gonna call this data card style equals, and then I'm gonna do props.style. So I'm gonna inject the style into this data attribute. I'm gonna go ahead and hit add. We're gonna go to the front end. Let's exit, let's save. Okay, let's go to the front end. Let's go look at the DOM, because you can't do anything if that didn't work, right? And we gotta see if that worked. And we're gonna see right here, data card style equals default. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change it and I'm gonna say wide left, I'm gonna save. I'm gonna refresh and I'm gonna see if that changes. Data card style equals default. Okay, it's still, am I selecting the correct one? Let's see. Data, default wide left. I did it on the bottom one. Okay, let's put the bottom on default. Top one wide left. Let's save again. So I only care about the top one right now. There you go. So now it says data card style wide left. So we're properly injecting that value into a data attribute, which means that if I'm changing the style of my card here, I should be able to do something with that. Now, what do I actually want to do? I want to change the position of this media right here. Okay, that's like the first thing I would want to do. So order 1 is what puts it on the right. Okay, so with wide left, I would want to put it, I would want it to be I would want to force order -1, order -1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is say data card style equals wide left. And I'm going to do order -1. And let's just see what that does on the front end for us. Okay, let's see if we've got this. And now you're going to get into a specificity battle probably. But let's just make sure we're, yeah. Okay. We can't do that here because that is not part of this. Okay, let's go back up to the actual postcard. Let's do it here. So data wide left, order, this is very interesting. Let's take a look at something. We could has me this. If we wanted to stay here and do this, I believe has me with data card style equals wide left. Because if the, think about it, yeah, because the media wrapper is in the article. The direct parent is the article. So if it has me, which is the article, right? Data card style wide left, and then instead of container type inline style, let's just do this background. Or no, I'm sorry. It would just do order -1. Let's just force it. Okay, let's save that, refresh. Okay, that didn't work. I wonder why. Let's inspect. Okay, figure it could be postcard media wrapper order -1. Okay, all right. I don't know. Let's think about that for a second. Postcard or, yeah, that should technically work. Let's do something that's not, how about border radius? How about border? Something we haven't done yet. Border radius 1em, and let's import in it to make sure. What I'm trying to do is take specificity out of the equation. Specificity is no longer in the equation. We're just seeing if the has me issue is not working. Has me with data card style equals wide left. Border radius 1em. Okay, let's do it from the parent. Let's get it working in some form or fashion. Article, okay, data card style, wide left, and then we need to target the postcard media wrapper. Is that working? Let's see if that works. That works. Okay. We would have to experiment and play more with the wide left situation. I'm also seeing that greater than 1,000 pixels, we need to have a gap for sure. And that's going to fix that problem right there. There we go. So now we have this variation called wide left. If I did wide right, that's essentially going to be the same as, for right now, the same as default, okay? So now if it's a wide at all, I want to force it. I want to force it to be wide. It's not allowed to conform like this. And that could be a little tougher, especially with how it's going to go with media queries. What I want to do here is grab this variation and say wide right, okay? And we're going to see if we can get this to work right. instead of this being a 4-column grid, they'll all be wide and they'll just be stacked on top of each other. That's what should happen. If I'm forcing them all to be wide, then that's what's gonna happen, okay? Okay, so, oh, and instead of default, I should do auto. Should do auto. Might be a better word, okay? All right, anyway, it's a little OCD attack there. All right, how do we wanna do this? So, if we take the card, let's take the article, and we know we have this data card style wide left. I could do star equals, I believe, wide. Let's do this. I'm just curious about this. Background red. Okay, and let's go, if data card style, that should be contains the word wide. I think that's working. Problem is I don't have, well, I could test it like this. I could go back to default. Okay, maybe not. Maybe that's affecting all of them. No. Why is it affecting this one though? LI post this wide, that one's still wide right. Okay, I never set that back to default. Perfect, perfect. So I don't even need to write 2 separate rules. I can just say, if it contains the word wide, because that's what we're doing, then I want to do something, okay? What do I want to do? Well, I know I put these in grids a lot, right? Grid column 1 minus 1. That should force it to span, you would think, to span all columns, okay? Let's go get out of here. Here's our postcard, wide right. Well, that didn't do anything on here, so it's not very promising. Wide right, okay. UL, okay. LI container. Oh, I'm thinking, oh, okay, hold on. It's not the card. It's not the card that needs to do it. It's the list item. It's a little complication, Okay, so if the data card style is wide, has me. We're getting into the land of, this is advanced land here. Okay, we're getting a little inception-y. So data card style is wide, has me, because you would not want to have to do this in multiple different places, like at the grid, you want the card to try to do everything that it needs to do on its own, okay? Grid column 1/-1. Dude, the has me selector to the fucking rescue every time. This. Look at this. Ha! Look at this. Okay. So if I go, I want wide right, I want wide left, I want default. Uh-oh. Let's see what default's doing. Maybe we have a little buggy. Okay. Where are we at first? I only want one list on this page. Okay, we don't need things to be so complicated. We got 80,000 lists generating posts. Okay, so there's our one main list. That's interesting. So why is that rule applying? Oh, the has me didn't go inside. Looks like a nesting problem. Maybe. Okay, let's inspect. All right, the inspector is your friend. All right, LI. Oh, look at this. Data card style is wide. Okay. So if I change this to default, what's going to happen? What's on this post list? Ah, this is display grid. This isn't not even being told to do anything. Grid 3. Look at us. Look at us go. Look at us go. Look at this. Okay. So if I want it to be, well, there's 4 of them, right? So we want that list to be 4 instead of 3. This should look fantastic. Bang. I mean. But then if you're like, oh no, right here, like let's do another loop. Now we can duplicate. So now that we got our stuff worked out, we can actually come down here and have a second loop going on. I want these to be wide left, or I want these to be wide right. Look at this. The grid just no longer matters anymore, and I just have complete control over how these things are rendering. And guys, I'm doing this with two props, an object prop and a style prop, okay? The amount of flexibility. And then imagine if I just shared this component with you so you didn't have to build any of this. And I was just like, hey, here you go. Hey, you come up here, right click, copy, bang. Go paste it in your install. And it all just works out of the box because the card controls everything, right? That's the benefit of not having to do some instructions on the grid, some instructions on the card. No, this is a self-contained component that literally will adapt to wherever you place it and give you these little options here on the side. What's your data source? Oh, which style would you like? Okay, I'll just work then. I'll just work, right? Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Guys, there's so many questions about Docusaurus. Wow. We're talking about components today. We're not talking about Docusaurus. We're talking about components. Okay. Are we understanding everything that's happening? Excuse me. I can't drink water. Can't drink water. Are we understanding everything that's happening so far? Are we, where are we at with our head right now? Okay. Is there anything you need to see next? Like, Kevin, you haven't covered this part of components yet. How about slots? I know you're going to ask for that, right? You're going to ask for slots, aren't you? Okay. Let's go to templates. Let's go to index. Let's go to right here. Let's whip up a quick little, well, I don't want to do the header because we kind of always use that example. Oh, shoot, we haven't done any conditional logic. We haven't done any, yeah. Conditional logic is a thing we need to do. Oh, the element selector. Before we forget. We cannot forget. Okay, let's go back to pages. Let's go back to our home page. Okay, here we are. Right click, edit component. We need to talk about the element, my favorite new element. The element, okay? See how this is an H2? That's what we chose, right? H2. Let's get my sidebar out here, okay? So if I go into heading group, I've got H2, which I don't even really need the heading group anymore. There's our H2 right there. That cannot always be an H2, okay? It is an H2 if you're in like a hero section and there's an H1, but there is no other H2. But if you're in any normal section, like let me get out of here real quick and let me put a heading in this section, okay? So I'm gonna put do I have an intro component on here? No, I don't. I haven't built anything. Okay, so I'm gonna go container. We're gonna go section intro. We could actually do some of this by building a second component here. Let's just drop down to one post list. So section intro heading, and then let's say latest posts. Okay, there you go, latest post. So I now have an H2 in here officially, which means these can't also be H2s. These need to now be H3s. How do I make that an H3? Look at, I'm using the card. Where do I go here to make that an H3? So what we used to have to do is we used to have to come into here and we used to have to duplicate this heading. And we used to have to wrap it in a condition and wrap this one in a condition. And this would be H3 and this would be H2. Obviously, you see the problem here. I'm duplicating things, and that's, if you don't have to duplicate, you shouldn't duplicate, but I'm just showing you what we'd have to do. And then I would come here to do another select prop, and I would say heading level. And I would say my options are H2 and H3, like that. And then I would come over to my condition, and I would say props dot heading level equals, and then I would say H2, okay? I'm on the H2. So if it equals H2, we're gonna show the H2. If that equals H3, we're gonna show the H3, and now I have a selectable heading level. Obvious, like that's not hard, okay? It's not hard. Like you saw, I whipped it up, bing, bang, boom, all right? But the thing is, it's messy. It's really, really, really messy. And for the longest time, I was like, this is fucking messy. This is really messy. I don't like to do that. I don't want to do that. Can I just do this without conditions? Maybe we'll just do this without conditions. Can we do that? Like, what if we could dynamically just change this from H2 to H3? What if we could just do that based on this same exact prop right here? It's this same exact prop. What if I could just inject the value almost into this tag, okay? Well, here's how you do that. You can do it one of two ways. You can take all the stuff that you put in here, okay? This is the clicky click way. This is the clicky click way, okay? I'm gonna hold command, I'm gonna hit this add dynamic element, or really it's the element, okay? I'm gonna add that, and I'm gonna put my stuff inside of it. And you see, I still have the exact same thing, but this element does not have a tag. I'm gonna call it heading, okay? This element does not have a tag. But it has this little combo box over here. And this combo box has some selectors where now suddenly it can morph into whatever I need it to morph into. But you're smart, you're intelligent, and you're thinking, but Kevin, you're choosing that statically. That doesn't make any sense. That's the same problem you just had a minute ago. See, I knew you were intelligent. I knew you were intelligent. You didn't have to tell me. I knew you were intelligent. This happens to be, though, a combo box, which means you can type any custom value you want, such as props.heading level. And now you're injecting this dynamically. It's just an element that can inherit any element that you want it to inherit, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna save. I'm gonna have two of them for right now, but I'm gonna go to the front end, and now you're gonna see, look at that. I can just choose from the outside what that's going to be, right? Now, you can also write that. So remember I said I did the clicky click like that, okay? Now I'm gonna go to this existing one. I'm gonna zoom in for you so you can see the magic here, okay? See how I've selected H2? If I hit Command D, I'm also gonna select the closing tag at the same time. And I can just write Etch element like that. And if you just write Etch element, it's going to morph itself into one of those things. And that tag box is going to appear. And now you can just map this one, props.heading level. And I hit save, and then I go to the front end, and I refresh, and here we go. Let's look at this on the front end, inspecting. We're seeing that it's an H3. Okay, I'm gonna go out. It's an H3, change it to H2. Now, you're not gonna see it change. Let's do a pop quiz. Okay, why are you not seeing the size change? Okay, look, it's an H2 now. So I now can just, no conditional logic necessary, no duplication of elements necessary. I can just dynamically, let's swap it, play a little swap game, okay, with the tag. And I can put in whatever I want, right? And the reason that I'll give Peter, okay, the question was worth 1,000 points, Peter. I'm gonna give you 500, okay? I'm gonna give you 500. Styled it how? I gave it a class, and I forced it to be a specific size, right? Regardless of the tag, I forced it at the CSS level to always be the right size. And that size is dependent, by the way, on how much space this card is taking up. I mean, look at it now. It's big. Look at it now. It's on the left. Look at it now. It behaves dynamically. Look at the flexibility. Like, we created a bunch of different cards essentially, but it's all one card. And it just does the things it needs to do when it needs to do them, or when you tell it to do them, based on how we engineered it. So the card, keep this in mind. This entire example site is essentially variations of this card. That's all it is. It's grids and variations of this card. We've built nearly the entire site. Throw in a header, throw in a footer, get all these grids dialed in, and throw the content in. Like, the hardest part of this site was engineering a single card component to do all these variations that it needs to be able to do. And we don't have 4 different card types floating around as like wide card with all these wide card classes and or BIM modifier classes. No, none of that stuff. None of that stuff. All we have is one component. So think about this from a client perspective. The client's like, what you think the client's gonna manage 4 different card types and all these? No, they wanna just throw the card thing in and then choose how it's supposed to behave and then hit save. That's all you have to do, right? All right, let's see. Is it necessary to output the tag attribute on the front end for the element? No, it's not necessary. I think it's an artifact. Let's look here. Heading, I think this is what he means right here, where it puts out tag H2. I think that's just an artifact from the feature. We just need to strip it out. It's not gonna do that in the future. Okay, let's do a slot. I'm trying to think, it would kind of be a forced thing to put a slot into this card because we don't need one, but I could literally just throw one in just to show you how slots work, right? What would we throw in? Maybe something to overlay on the photo. And the question is, what would we overlay? Well, I mean, that's whatever you want. Whatever you want to overlay, you would throw in the slot. And we could call it something specific, like label. And then that way you might want to throw in, we could even pre-style it, I believe. But you could throw in, oh, we need to do the category thing. While I think about slots in my head, about what we might want to, like, I'm just trying to force it because we don't actually need a slot. And I'm like, man, what could we use a slot for? I'll think about that for a second. Let's do the category because we never did the category situation. Remember when this is wide? Because I just remember this, and you're gonna wanna know this. See that category badge? We never did that, okay? So I'm gonna go in here, and let's see if we can get this, because this actually, there's 2 ways to do it, and there's a new way, if you just want the first category, the primary category, there's a new way to do it that does not require a nested loop, and I wanna show you that, because that's very interesting. But I'm just gonna throw in here, category is test cat, like that. We're just gonna see if that works, okay? And what I need is I need my wide version for this. What we need is a way to preview our different styles here, because this would make life a lot easier. For right now, I think the easiest way to do this is probably going to be go to this post list and make it a grid 1 so that they're forced to be wide. So when I'm in the component editor, I should see the wide variations. Let's get this down here. There we go. Okay. So now I can see the category element right there. Let's go refresher, right? Props.source.category, right? Props.source.category would pull in my test data, but I know that's not the real key. What I really want to know is what is the real key for the category. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to look through my keys. I'm going to try to find category, right? I could even search for them. Category, okay. Is it, oh, maybe it's not in a taxonomy yet. Well, it should be in a default taxonomy, right? I think all WordPress posts are in a category by default. Oh, categories, okay. It's categories.name. Categories.name is what I'm gonna want. Categories.name. So I wanna do categories.name. And then I wanna change this to categories.name, okay? And I think it's having trouble parsing these, because if that was that and that was that, it would work. So I'm gonna have to talk to the dot is gonna be up. We're gonna need a way to escape the dot for preview purposes, I think. I wonder if that's probably gonna, I don't, no, no. We're gonna have to put some special rule in for that. You see how technical this stuff is? Okay, So, but this is the right thing, categories.name. I'm just not gonna be able to see a preview of it, okay? But let's go out and let's see if it actually pulls in. Okay, now I'm thinking about this. Because in order to not, because that's an array, essentially. Category, okay, I may have to put the entire thing here. Source.categories dot at 0 dot, now let's just try that real quick. Okay. This is where you take the sword and you put it back in the sheath, okay? All right, so if I look at this, let's go put it in a category just to prove that it works. Post categories, uncategorized, okay, fashion, update, okay? Fashion, look at this, okay? Now, what just happened there? What just happened? Okay, let's explain it. By the way, you go to docs, you go to dynamic data, you go to modifiers, you go to basic modifier. Oh, look at this. Look, oh God, we're just showing, some things coming, okay? We don't need, you can go there on your own. We don't need to venture into that territory right now. You're gonna love it though. You're gonna love this little comparison. Okay, all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go down and you're gonna see that there is a modifier called at, which returns the element at the given array index. 0 is one in the index, essentially. It's the first object in the index, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back and see how I use that, right? So I went edit component, and instead of doing a nested loop, where I have to loop through all the categories and then tell it to only grab the first one, I can literally just come in to the category right here and say, hey, there's an array in this loop. There's an array called categories. Let me zoom in. There's an array called categories. I want you to reach into that and grab the first thing that you find. And then I want the name of that thing, okay? And that's what it's gonna output, is the name of the first, without a nested loop. You see how awesome that is? No nested loop needed. You could just say, hey, I'm identifying that there's an array here. I'd like to grab the first item from it. And by the way, when you grab the first item from it, why don't you just give me the name, okay? Because it can give me anything. It can give me any of that data in categories. So at 0 is grabbing this entire object, and then I can grab any of those keys that I want. Just using at 0, okay? Which is essentially the first one. So I mean, what are we doing here? Look at this. Look at us go. Look at us go. We're just solving problems left and right. It just works. It just works. Look at this. It just works. Okay. What else? Let's do slot. Did anybody think of something creative that we could throw a slot into a blog post card for? I know we don't need to, but like, come on now. Let's put some rims on the car right now, right? We don't need them, but you got the money. You might as well. Let's see. Come on, throw something out there. How about we make the image a slot? Maybe you don't want an image. Maybe you want an iframe. Maybe you want a video. Maybe you want, that would have to be handled dynamically. That's probably not a great move for slots, because if you think about that, it's like, if you're in a loop, now everything's gotta be either an image or a video. No. That would have to happen dynamically based on the type of post, right? So that would not be a good use for a slot. I'm just gonna throw a slot of, we're gonna call the slot bullshit. Because that's what it is, honestly. There's no real use case here for a slot. But it will show you how a slot works, okay? So I'm gonna edit this component, and we're gonna do this inside of the media wrapper. So inside this media wrapper right here, we are gonna position our slot content absolute. So I'm gonna say that this is position relative. I'm just gonna get this card, this media wrapper going, position relative. And I am going to throw a slot in here, okay? By default, it's named default, but we're gonna call it bullshit. That's what we're gonna call it, okay? Because what are we putting in it? I don't know. It's bullshit. We don't need it. We don't need it, but that's what it is, okay? So I'm creating this slot. Now, here's where everybody gets confused. They try to put things in here right now. That's not what this slot is for, okay? It's not for putting things in here right now. It's for, well, first of all, let's not even put the slot in. Let's just put some bullshit in. Let's just put some text. And our text will say bullshit like this, right? And I'll say this is postcard bullshit. All right, there we go. And we'll just say color is white, okay? And position is absolute. And actually, instead of color white, let's do background white. Hey, you can't do that in a style input, can you? You put a color on the wrong property and you just switch the property name instead of copying and pasting between inputs. Okay, a little flexibility there. Let's go inset block start of 1em, inset inline start of 1em, and let's make that end. Top right feels better. It feels better. 0.5em. Clear out the line height. Border rate, now everything's square on this, so we'll just keep it square. Okay, there's our bullshit right there. There's our bullshit. Okay, let's think about this. Let's go add our slot. And we might want, I'm gonna switch that to a div instead of a paragraph. See how you can do that on the fly? It's very nice, very nice. Okay, thinking about this. Thinking about how maybe, because we may have to do conditional logic if I do it this way. Trying to avoid having to do it this way. But I'll just do it this way, whatever. Okay, add the slot. Yeah, that's correct. So now we have, that's called bullshit. There you go. I don't need the text. Okay, so now we have this slot. And, oh, okay, I think I can handle it with CSS. I think we're gonna be okay. Okay, let's call this bullshit. The slot name is bullshit. Okay, see how it changes to slot bullshit, right? Save, okay. All right, let's exit. Okay, now I have this postcard and I have the ability to add this slot called bullshit, right? And you're gonna see this little white square up here. And now I can insert anything that I want to. I mean, I could even insert an image if I wanted to. You know, you can literally insert anything. I could do a link, okay? I could do an SVG. Look at that, okay? So from the outside, this is what's you have to understand about slots. You program a slot from the inside because that's how you're building a component. You're engineering the component, how the component is supposed to work and behave and yada, yada, yada. But when you're doing a slot is a drop zone. That's what it should translate in your mind. You created a free drop zone where literally anything can be placed in there, okay? Now, in the way I engineered it is it shows up in a very specific place in this card, okay? Which is typically what you want for slots, right? So now I have the ability from the outside to put anything in here. Now, if I had duplicated this post list, right? And I don't want these cards down here in the second one to have that, or I want them to have some different bullshit, right? Where I put in text and I go different bullshit, right? Save. And I go refresh. These have icons in them and these have text in them. See how the slot is like very flexible. It allows me to just put anything I might want there. This is how a slot works. And once you've seen it, it should start to click for you. It's like, and when I use the word drop zone, that should really help it click, where it's like, it's just a free drop zone. Because normally you can't just put things inside of a component unless you edit the component and make it apply to all of them. A slot gives you the flexibility to just drop something random that you might want into any closed component without editing the component, right? Let's see. I've used a slot to put another component inside the component. Yeah, absolutely. You could do that too. You could literally put a postcard inside a postcard. Watch this. You want to see inception? It's going to break, obviously. But that's a postcard inside a postcard, right? So yeah, like you literally put anything in the slot. Now, a slot will not render if it's empty, except for the fact that I put something into the slot that will absolutely render. You see a little white box right there? Now, there's one way I could do it, not the best way, but I could come in here, because I don't think we have conditional logic for if slot. I don't think that's a thing. But I can do the pseudo class empty. And I could say display none. That should work. Now I have no white box. Gone. Now it's still rendering a little div there, but not the end of the world. But you're not going to see anything visually because an empty div is now displayed none with this one in particular. So there's a quick way to solve that little problem. Okay, there's a bunch of questions there related to slots, I guess. Let me go into Q&A mode because we are winding down on time. I always lose track of time when I'm doing these things. I think we covered did we miss anything that we need? I think we did the most advanced things, you know? If you want the ultra basics of components, I've done plenty of videos on those. So I wanted to kind of venture into more advanced territory today. Let's talk real quickly about object versus loop. So the loop prop is when there needs to be a fixed, when there needs to be a loop inside of a component that is not trying to reference a loop outside of the component, if that makes sense, okay? So there could be a situation where you want to loop things inside of a component, and you want to be able to choose the loop when you use the component. But if that loop needs to get its data from a parent loop that's outside the component, you would still use the object prop, right? Object is for this component needs to be able to get data from the outside. That's what an object prop is for. A loop is only for, here's a good example of when you use the loop prop. We use it on the nav. So the nav component is always going to loop nav data. And the loop prop can just tell, the person can just select, hey, I want this nav or that nav, like legal nav, main nav, whatever. That is not trying to get data from outside itself. We're literally programming it to be based on the chosen loop. So that's when you would use the loop prop. If you need the component to be able to get its data from an unknown source, whether that's, by the way, let's think about this, whether that's a programmed loop in here, like a JSON loop or a post loop, and you could make it work with a nav loop, for sure. You could do that too, okay? But what about third-party API data? You need an object prop for that. You need an object, say, hey, we're getting an object. What's the source of the object? This third-party API. And then we're gonna inject all that into specific areas of the component. That's what the object prop is for. And I would almost say that if you're not sure whether you need a loop prop or an object prop, use an object prop. That was probably the most flexible way to go. Because you can run into dead ends with the loop prop that you would not run into with the object prop. So I would say if like when in doubt, object it out, okay? Let's see. Yeah, this would probably be a good use of the loop prop because you just use the footer and select the loop that you want to display inside the footer. And the footer is not itself in a loop. Like that may be another better way to explain it. Like if the component is going to go into a loop, then you need an object prop. If the component is designed to be self-contained, it's not going to be in a loop, but you're going to loop things inside of it, then use a loop prop. That's probably a even better way to explain it. Okay. #Q. All right, let's just run down these and see how many we can answer. How to decide what elements or patterns to componentize. And let me delete this bullshit because that's driving me nuts that there's an ugly, I had such beautiful cards until we made that, slot. Okay, save. There we go. Okay. It's kind of like I used to say with BIM, but now I'm very in the camp of just everything should be BIMmed. Literally, just BIM everything. Just fucking stop trying to like BIM this, not BIM that. Just BIM everything, because there's no cost to BIM anymore. You right click, you hit create BIM, you move on with your life. Like there's no cost to it. Okay, so just BIM everything. There used to be a cost where you had to write every class name by hand. That came at a cost. There's no cost anymore. Just BIM everything. And so a component. There are obvious things, like literally if it's a card, if it's any kind of card, it probably should be a component, okay? Where you get into the territory, header, obvious component, footer, obvious component. Where you get into gray area is like maybe a hero section. And then you say, should that be a component? Most likely not. Most likely not. You're still gonna BIM it. It's going to be what we call a pattern, okay? You can save things as a, here, let me go to patterns.etchwp.com. This will help you understand too. Browse patterns. And we have maybe hero, right? And these are patterns, just patterns. They're not components, they're just patterns, okay? But I go to headers, these are components, okay? Now a component is a pattern. It's important to understand this. It's a pattern with superpowers, right? So you have a default pattern, which is no superpowers, but it's this arrangement of elements. Then we get into component land, which is a pattern, but it has special superpowers. And there can be different size patterns, okay? For example, let me go to the footer. Let me show you how some of these are constructed. Because you will have components in components, right? And then components and patterns both go into templates. A template is a type of pattern, but it's the overarching thing that controls lots of patterns and components at the same time. Think about a blog post template, because a blog post template might have different components inside of it. The smallest example component that's very common, that I don't really make components right now because of other complications. Because in order to really do all of this really well, we need to have a nested component architecture that doesn't rely on slots, so that you can nest components inside components without slots and have no trouble editing them or accessing their attributes or anything like that. That's coming, okay? We're still engineering that side of things, but that is the future of Etch. The future of Etch is that you can nest components inside components at multiple levels without needing slots. Slots are still valuable. You would use slots in certain situations, but you're not forced to use a slot. Right now, you're kind of forced to use a slot. Let's go to layouts. Let's go to footer, alpha. Okay, edit with Etch. And let's take a look. Does this one have it? No, I didn't put the social share. I mean, I could, okay? Let's put the social share icons in here. Okay? So there's this thing called, there is a slot. Oh, why don't we just do it here? Oh, that's just perfect. We can just show you how to use the slot. Maybe I can do this without breaking this. Okay. See, I have a slot called bottom right. What if I just stuck something in there? Look where it shows up. See, a slot's a programmed drop zone. Now, the question is, what do I want to drop in there? Well, I happen to want to drop my social share alpha. Look at that. Save. Now suddenly my footer has social share icons. And by the way, what does that give me? It also gives me the ability, I can loop through my social. Where's that coming from? Go here, go to social. Oh, look, there's my social right there. And if I want to add it, I'm not on LinkedIn anymore because it's an absolute trash platform. Okay. So I get rid of that. I hit save. I go back out. Okay. That should be updating, but it's not. Okay, we'll just ignore that. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. Icon color red. Oh, it's not working at all. Okay, that's good. Bar style. Let me save and refresh. Let's see what's going on here. there it is behaving, guys. It is behaving. Okay. It just wasn't updating for some reason in real time. Okay, so label color, red. Do I want to show the labels? Oh, maybe we're just having a rendering issue with like real time in slots. Maybe this was what somebody was talking about the other day in the community. So it's doing it, but it's not doing it in real time. Okay, but I have these variations that I can do. And essentially you saw I was able to stick social sharing icons into this slot, pre-programmed slot in Footer Alpha. That's a good example of what a slot is designed to do. But if this was a button right here, right? Which, let's see, we would need props to control all of these things, okay? The logo, the text, the button text, whatever. Or we could make this another slot where I could just drop content in here. But if that was a component, a button component inside of a footer component, that's a nested component that you may not necessarily want to be in a slot. We need support for that, right? We don't have support for that right now. These variations are working though. Making a minimalist footer, hide the nav, that seems to be working. All those are working in real time. So now, and this is what I was talking about the other day with pattern libraries, we're not gonna need like Footer Alpha, Footer Bravo, Footer Charlie, which is essentially the same thing, but like maybe Footer Bravo didn't have a nav and it looked like this. Well, that doesn't need to be two different footers anymore. It can literally be, okay, I built this footer and I know that users are probably gonna want a variation that does not have a nav, so we could just hide the nav. And then they may want on landing pages, like maybe our legal pages, I don't want a call to action on my legal pages. Maybe I just want a really minimalist footer on my legal pages. So on my legal pages, I can just do this. And I can just have the very super minimalist footer, right? So you see in one footer, I get like multiple actual footers. Very helpful, very flexible. And this one happens to have a slot where I can inject other things. And maybe on my legal template, I don't want social share icons. So now I can just have this super minimalist footer with no social share icons. See like the amount of from one component, you can get all of these different options. Okay. LinkedIn caught a stray. Dude, people tell me to use LinkedIn, like, dude, you really gotta be on LinkedIn. I'm like, no. Immediately I go on LinkedIn. I'm trying to think of how to censor this description, okay? Because like thoughts just went through my head of, it's like, if I can imagine, I don't know, maybe this is what women feel like when they walk into a bar of drunk guys, right? That's what you feel like on LinkedIn. You walk in and everybody's like, hey, you want to fuck? You down to fuck? I'm like, dude, like, get out of my DMs, dude. Get out. What are you doing? And they're all like pre-formatted. There's like bot messages I'm getting. Dude, it's like, and it's endless. It's just so many. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do any of that with you. No, I don't. Bill, okay? Get out of my DMs, Bill. That's LinkedIn. That's all of LinkedIn. I don't know what to tell you. It's an uncomfortable place. It's an uncomfortable place. I don't like it. Feel dirty there. Feel very dirty on LinkedIn. Okay. Let me go back to, we got way off target. Let me go back to Q&A. All right. We did that one. Would you also use a figure when using a video instead of an image? Yeah, I do believe that's an appropriate use of a figure. Are we sticking all images in figure tags now? If it's a semantically valuable image, I put it in a figure tag for two reasons. One, okay, I'll give you, let's just look. Let's just do it. Content Hub, that's a great question. Great question. We're on the wrong site. But you know, it helps if we're on the correct site. Let's go to the correct site. Let's go back here. That's our demo site. Here's our real site, okay? We're building this here. Okay, here's Bev, ring, ring. Oh, hold on. Hey, it's Kevin, okay? It's Bev, okay? And immediately chatting my ear off. Just gonna waste 30 minutes of my life before I figure out what Bev wants. Bev just told me these images need to have captions. Okay, these images need to have, now I did create a component, so I'm not in a world of hurt, okay? Because I can do this on all of them at the exact same time. But the fact that I have a figure there means that I can just slap some text in here, and I could call this caption, and I could change the tag to fig caption, just like that. And I now have a semantically accurate caption. There it is. And I can now position it. So I can do postcard, okay, media caption like that. And then I could say position of absolute. And I could say inset block end of 0, inset inline start of 1M, and we'll put a 1M up here too. And we will do background of, I don't know, color mix in sRGB, black, transparent, okay? And then we'll say, how much black do we want? I don't know, 50%. And then color, white, okay, perfect. Padding of 0.5M. Boom, okay. Line height, clear that out. Maybe give it a little bit in case it breaks, okay? And then I'm gonna say image caption goes here, okay? And now if we review this on the front end, I have, without any effort, okay? Like I didn't have to add it, I didn't have to wrap my image. Oh no, because what would happen if you wrapped your image? Remember all that order -1 shit that we did when it's gonna be wide left, wide right, wide this, wide that? That would have all been on the image. And the minute you wrap the image, because I didn't put it in a figure, Bev, because you didn't tell me you wanted to caption, Bev. Well, the minute you wrap the image, all that's gonna break. And now you're gonna have to hunt back through your code. See, but I gave it a wrapper out of the gate. You know why? Because I've been in this situation before, my friend. I've been in this situation. And I know there's multiple things. It could be a caption. It could just be, it needs a pseudo element. Oh, it needs a pseudo element, you say, but you didn't put a figure around it. Well, it now needs a figure around it because, or a div or something, because you can't put pseudo elements on images. So there's another scenario, common scenario. Need a pseudo element, didn't wrap your image, you're out of luck. You're gonna have to wrap your image, and if your image was positioned or anything going on with that image, all that's now gonna break because it's in a wrapper that doesn't have any of those instructions. It is best practice, and I've learned from years and years of doing this and having to do work over and over and over again like a chump when anytime something changes, it is just good practice to wrap your images and figures. The only time you shouldn't do it is if it is a purely decorative image, which normally you would use CSS background image for anyway. But if you happen to use a real image and it's purely decorative, you should not give it semantic value by putting it in a figure tag. You should just use a blank image at that point, okay? If this is a semantically valuable image, I want it to be in a figure tag. I want the image to have an alt, right, tag. I want if it does have a caption, I want the, God, come on, quit live preview. Okay, I want the fig caption, excuse me, fig caption right here inside the figure. Like that's now, I was able to whip up a semantically accurate caption just by throwing a text element in the figure tag that already existed and changing the tag on it and positioning it with CSS. That's a real caption now. It's very nice, right? Okay, let me go back to chat real quick. Okay, good. We're all in agreement, I'm seeing, that LinkedIn is trash. Stupid question, why use a span instead of a P for the meta info? To me, semantically, this is not a paragraph of text. Would you ever write a paragraph that just has 4 minutes? Would you ever write a paragraph that just has somebody's name? And by the way, without any context, really? Like, these are just semantically, this is just text. It doesn't have, we're not designating that it's a paragraph of content, you know? So, you know, just, that's your answer. Okay, we did that one. Why are you using camel case for the featured image, but not for the author name? I think we fixed that. Oh, good. We answered. Hopefully, did I answer this one? I mean, I did answer it, but did I answer it clearly enough? How is this better than just using a loop prop? So one loop can be used multiple times. Absolutely. And I encourage it. Okay. So let me get out of this component editor. Let's go to the loops area. Let's go to posts. Any of these things can be an argument. Okay. So, like the order, I could do order. And what the one thing I will say is you want to figure out what needs arguments before you deploy a bunch of these loops. This will change in the future. You're going to be able to do something like, I don't know what the actual syntax is going to be. Probably something like this, okay? Where you can have a fallback. So you can declare a token, but say if this token's not defined, this argument, right? But really they're just tokens. If this argument's not defined, fall back to this value right here. And then existing loops won't break. But right now you can't do that. So if I throw this argument in here, I need every instance of this loop to essentially give this argument a value or it's going to break. Now there may be some things where, so you see here, nothing actually breaks. I'm still getting all the proper data. Yeah, I'm still getting all the proper data. The quantity broke because I'm not getting all of them. See, now I have all of them. Okay, so quantity is one that will break one. Order doesn't break, it seems to fall back. And then post status, like some of these are optional, and if they're optional, they probably won't break if you swap them to an argument and don't give it a value. But yeah, it's in the future, you'll have fallback, so it won't matter, but just, it's something to be aware of right now. And then I would come down here and you just comma separate them, right? So it would be like order, right? And then you put in whatever you want your value to be. But it's just a comma separated list of the arguments. Is offsetting the loop items possible? Yes, it is possible. We don't have time to get into an exact demo on it right now, but it is possible. Okay, I think we answered this. What is the purpose of the loop prop? Okay. Okay, and then loop compared to object. We did that. Okay. Genuine question. Since components are working great, I've tested them extensively. I'm thinking of porting my Tailwind components in from my non-WordPress projects. What do you think of the Tailwind flow with components? Tailwind is better in Etch. I mean, here's because you can do all this, all that Tailwind. Tailwind is, you're gonna spend your life writing classes. Now, but here's the violation still. And this is just true with page builders and not an entire code base, right? Tailwind relies very heavily on find and replace and multi-cursor editing. And it's way better with components, especially components in Etch for sure. But if there's stuff that is global, site-wide, you didn't make a component for whatever reason and you need to swap it out, it could be colors, it could be whatever it happens to be, you really need a way to find and replace an entire code base when you're using Tailwind. And you just can't do that in any page. It's just still not, it's not a page builder friendly framework, in my opinion. Can you use it in Etch? For sure. You can load it in, you can use it, it's fine, whatever. But there's still one thing we have to do, because we have to be able to support class names that have colons in them, which is not standard syntax. It requires special handling. I don't know Tailwind. So, but it's all their like breakpoint shit. It's shit like this. Okay. It's so annoying. I guarantee you, with BIM, I will murk somebody using just the speed differential. I've watched people write Tailwind. Like here's the secret about Tailwind. A lot of people don't write it. A lot of people copy and paste pre-made components, and then they switch some things around that they need. Very rarely do you see somebody writing everything from scratch by hand in Tailwind. And when you do watch it, it's fucking slow. It's really slow. And it's really annoying to read. It makes your HTML super messy. It combines all your styling with your HTML, which is just terrible in my estimation. It's good in an environment where you don't like switching back from HTML to CSS all the time. But guess what? Why don't you just work in an environment where you already don't have to do that? Where you select something and the CSS for it is right here. Section heading, right? There, look, there's HTML. Oh, look, there's CSS. Oh my God, they're right next to each other. Oh, imagine that. We don't have to already flip back and forth. It's just not necessary. It's not necessary. If you're a Tailwind fanatic expert, I get it. That's your workflow. You want to use it, then use it. But it's not the best workflow for page builders, okay? It's just not. It's just not. Would you say you've switched to a mobile-first approach? No, I have switched to a range syntax approach. And I honestly feel that's where people need to live. So when we can even get out of component land, right? Just do a simple grid right here. So I want this to be a 3-column grid. So I just look at this and I say, because I have nesting now, I have modern CSS now, I can do whatever I want, right? You could literally say, just so everybody's on the same page, and we can do this with media queries if everybody, because I constantly get asked, Kevin, it sucks I can't do media queries in Etch anymore. What are you talking about? Right click, add media query. I mean, you can write it. You can even inject it. What do you mean you can't do it? You can inject it. You don't even have to write it, right? So it used to be like this with, okay, like this. Or if you wanted mobile first, it was min width. I can't even remember the damn syntax anymore because I don't use it anymore. Now you can literally say like width is greater than 500, but less than 1,000 pixels. So you can have these ranges now. This is called range syntax. Even when you just use one value, it's still called range syntax. And this is why you use the rem function. Because what is 500 pixels in rem? Fuck if I know. Went to public school. I can't do that math in my head, sorry, and nor do I want to, so I'm just gonna wrap it in a rem function. This is way friendlier. You look at it, it just makes sense. Less than, equal, greater than, equal, okay? And when you're reading multiples of them next to each other, it's very clear what's happening here, okay? At greater equal than 5, this is what happens. At less than, this is what happens, yada, 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 okay? And there's really no, because sometimes mobile first makes more sense, and sometimes desktop first makes more sense. It depends on what you're building. Depends on what you're building, what you need to do, and where does most of the complexity lie in the thing that you're building. Sometimes that's mobile first, sometimes that's desktop. There's no one answer. And you have range syntax, so it doesn't matter. Do the things that need to happen in the different ranges they need to happen in, and then move on with your life. Okay. Is it necessary to output the okay, we already did that. I'm just reading through the questions and trying to find ones I have not answered yet. Why would I do it the elements way to use H2 or H3 if it changes all cards in this row? Is it because I can reuse the card on a, yes, that's correct. You can, because you can reuse the card anywhere and determine what it needs to be whenever you use it. Is there a way to get a Boolean toggle to return a value instead of true to use in classes, for example? No, because that's literally what a Boolean is. Boolean is literally true or false. It's not, there's no value in a Boolean. The value is true or false, okay? But the way you can do it with styling is like this. So let's very quickly show you how easy this should be. You never say something's easy on a live stream, because live streams have an interesting way of complicating things that aren't normally complicated in everyday life when you're not live streaming, okay? IRL, as they say. All right, so what I'm gonna do is add a Boolean. Now, normally you would do a style prop like this, where I might do light, dark, primary, secondary, however many options I want. But let's say you want it, the option is just light or dark. That's it. Light or dark, no other options. Okay, I can say is dark, right? Is dark, like this. And so true or false. And I'm gonna make it false by default. So it's not gonna be dark by default, but there is gonna be this little switch called is dark. Let's just go ahead and save that. And let's exit. I'm gonna piece our way through it just so we can understand it easily. So I now have this little switch and I can go is dark, is not dark, is dark, is not dark, right? Very handy. Now, what is that actually doing? Nothing. We didn't make it do anything yet, okay? So we're gonna have to go back into our component. We're gonna go to our postcard. I prefer to use, well, there's two ways to do this. Why don't we show both ways, okay? You could do another data card style like this, okay? But you would use a different data attribute name, like data card is dark, something like that. Or, yeah, that's actually probably the best way to do it, because I actually have to style multiple elements in here, okay? Because I can't just make the background dark, because then what's gonna happen with our text? You see what I'm saying? Okay. Now there are, well, let's just take a little pause break. Comparison modifiers might help out a little bit here, okay? But we're not gonna get into that territory yet. We've also got, we were just rattling around, just so everybody's aware, inline logic. So inline logic in terms of like maybe wrapping class attributes with logic. So, hey, if this Boolean is such and such, let's output this class. You're gonna be able to do that. So you can do logic inside an element tag right here, okay? That's gonna be coming as well. All right, but let's talk about how to handle this situation. Probably the easiest way to handle it, on your postcard, data card dark, okay? Equals. Let's output props.isDark. Let's add that, okay? Let's save. So now what that's going to output, just so we can go to the front end and look, okay? Is dark, refresh, inspect, okay? Data card dark equals false. So it's literally outputting true or false, okay? So if it is true, and let's make it true, and let's save, and let's go back and make sure that it became true, okay? Refresh, did it not save? Let me save. Oh, we have two lists again. That's why you shouldn't duplicate your lists. Okay, let's do this one. Is dark, save. Go to the front end. Is dark, true. Okay, so data, card, dark, true. Now, what are we gonna do with that? Let's go in, flip this on for preview purposes, go to our postcard, come down to the bottom. We have another rule. Data card dark equals true. What are we gonna do? Well, let's start by doing background of black or whatever we want it to be. It could be base dark, all right? There you go. Now, I also wanna say color is text light. Now that's only gonna affect things that don't specifically have a color, right? Because we're relying right now on inheritance. But I could come down here and say postcard, double underscore, what was it? Heading? I think that's what we made it. And put the color in as light. Now, what is that thing? Oh, that's the heading span. Yeah, we had to use a span because of all the fancy shit they did. Okay, so I'll just add a span rule to that. So there's that. There's this stuff in here. Making dark variations is a little hard because you got to go through and get all of the, so that's an SVG. That's a pseudo element. Span reading time. Meta, let's go down, not first child before. Background is text dark. Okay, postcard meta. Postcard meta. Do I want to put that on? Yeah, I would have to put that on there. Okay, I think probably one of the better ways to handle this is divider color and then give it a fallback of text dark. So that's still dark, but now I have a divider color I can hijack. So when I go back to here, data card true. Divider color becomes white. Okay, and then our SVGs, just find all SVGs and go color of white. Okay, and then we obviously have an alignment thing that we want to fix here too. Align items to the center. There, that fixes that. Okay, why is the author, oh, it's just not previewing, but it should be fine. Okay, and then we have this thing. Is that what we want when this is dark? Probably not. So this is the category. I do use nesting when I use these rules because I want all the rules to be in the same spot and not have to write the thing over and over and over again. So this is postcard _ category. And the color here is going to be, let's do white for right now, and then do the background of what, red? Let's just throw a red. Yeah, that's affecting that. Okay. Base, dark. I need it to contrast, so try semi-dark. There we go. That looks good. Color, probably white. Let's just see what this looks like. Yeah. Oh, our figures are getting a stupid Gutenberg. Gutenberg puts margin on figures by default. Nobody wants it. Nobody asked for it, but it will mess up your designs. So now I have a dark variation. Okay, pretty good. And now I can say, let's get out of here. So now I can toggle that. Look at that. So we go to white or light, whatever. Okay, it's not dark, basically. Is dark, wide right, save. Let's check this variation. And we're gonna see that once you put see, we didn't have a background color before. Now we are starting to program in things with a background color. Now we're gonna have to get into a situation where is dark, postcard content wrapper is gonna need some padding, okay? So let's go back to our is dark rule. Postcard content wrapper is now gonna need padding of space M. By the way, try to do this in styling panels. You won't even be here anymore. You'll be toast. You'll be done. You'll have already suicided yourself. It's not even possible. Not even possible. Not possible in styling panels. Let's all work on getting that into our head. Not possible in styling panels. In any builder ever created. Okay? Okay. Look at that. Dark. And now it could be, so now look, when I take off is dark, I also lose the padding because I don't need it anymore. I only get padding when it's dark. Look at this. Look at this. And you just build in whatever complexity is needed, you build that in. Let's go back to default. I can even have default is dark. I can even go now with my post list and say grid template columns. 4-column grid, and they just change. They just change. But look, they can also be dark. If you want them to be dark. We need them to be the same height. We can do a flex 1 on that, no problem. But look at all the variation that we have available to us. I mean, this is just, need to change my tag, can change my tag. One component can do all these things. One component can do all these things. Let's go back to chat. Let's check in with our chat. Let's get out of here. Yeah. Just checking up on chat. Yeah. I'll let you say it, so I'm not always the one saying it. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, come on, like, come on now. Like, look what we built. Look what we built today. Look what we built today. And if you did put this in a completely different loop, you know, Or imagine that this was in a. Should we try it just to make just to prove a point? Let's change this to how do we want to architect this? We're just getting bonus points now. Not a flex div. Let's add a container. Nope. Clicking the wrong thing. I want to add a container. I want to call this cat list. Okay. Maybe post cat list. Post cat list. There we go. Okay, let's drop in maybe a flex div. Post cat card. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's put a heading in here. Cat title. I'll just put title. So we got post cat card. I can just auto BIM it here. I think that's all we're gonna put in. Okay, so that's post cat title. Let's just say category title. Okay. And then, so inside this card, we would need to put our, let's just see if we can, well, first of all, we need more than one category. We don't even have more than one category. This is where I wish I could jump to the Content Hub and just drop in some more categories and things like that. But nevertheless, you got to go out and you got to go all the way back to here. And you got to go all, see, you don't want to live this life. Nobody wants to live this life. That's why we're creating a unified development environment. What will we have besides fashion? Sports. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I've never created a men's fashion blog, nor do I want to. But at least we have two categories now. Let's go to all posts. Let's put one of these in both categories. Okay, sports, save. All right, edit with Etch. Doesn't matter what I edit because I can go wherever I need to go. Pages, go back to this home page. Okay, so if I were to loop categories, let's loop this li, wrap in loop, and let's go back to our loops, and we need post categories. Okay, and we're gonna say WordPress taxonomy, grab the category, there's fashion, there's sports right there, save, okay? So let's go back. And now what I wanna do is I wanna choose post categories. And I'm gonna get rid of this section intro, get rid of this post list. I just literally want my cat list, okay? Category title, save, let's refresh. There we go. Okay. All right, so we're looping our categories. What do we need here? We need, instead of static data, we need dynamic data. Let's go item dot, see how you're gonna get, if you just write the word item, you'll actually see all your keys on the canvas right here. It's called name, okay, when you're doing categories, all right? It's not called title like it is with posts, it's called name. And actually, because I'm in a nested loop situation, this is one situation where I do say you should change the key to cat and then cat.name. So now it's more easy to just read what's actually happening. So now we have fashion and we have sports, okay? And now what I wanted, this is a real test right here, okay? So under the title, I probably want to loop my category cards, right? So let's throw in a postcard, right? I don't want to throw it into the title, so I'm going to hold command when I do that, and it'll throw it next to. So this should essentially show me all of the posts that are in the category. There's actually two ways to do this, and I can never remember which way is the better way in default WordPress. But let's wrap this in a loop. You could do it with your default post. I think, isn't it just like cat? Isn't it just like cat and then like it wants the ID or cat ID or something like this? Let's ask Dia. Let's ask Dia. Is cat ID a WordPress argument? I know that you could do a tax query, but when I there's a way to avoid doing that. There's a little shorthand and I can never remember what it is. Cat. Okay, it's just cat. What if I did ID of, where's my categories? Post category, so ID of 1. Because see, I can see the IDs here. This one's 1, this one's 4. Let's do 4, okay, just to test it. So if I did, I just want cat, and I said 4. I get that post. So that's working. So here's a little shorthand to do it. Now, I need to inject the cat ID, right? So I'm gonna create a little argument. Cat ID is cat ID. And I think this may be one where you would need a fallback. This might break all your existing loops, so be aware of that. You could obviously create a different loop. I'm just seeing how I could use the exact same loop to do this. So here's my loop here, and I wanna do my posts, but I want to inject the cat ID. Let's just say I did 4. I should get the same post loop both times, okay? Source, look at what it's doing. It's saying which one am I supposed to get my data from, right? You need to get it from the item, not the cat loop, right? But it sees 2 loops now. It's seeing 2 loops, and it's like, hey, dog, you got 2 loops. Which one am I supposed to get the data from? And you say you get it from the item. That's what you're gonna get it from. And look, they're both the same post. Why? Because I put that in statically. I put cat ID 4. But what if I dynamically injected the cat ID? What if I dynamically injected the cat ID? And now my dumb brain has to think about this for a second, okay? Let's go back here. So this is our post loop, okay? Cat ID is post dot cat. It's is it the category situation? Post categories as cat. No, it should be cat dot. Should be cat dot something. Okay. Maybe it's just cat ID. And then I need to post loop. There's a quantity argument. I want all of them. Let's go back to the front end. Touchdown. 7 points. Well, I still got to kick the field goal, but I did score, coach, okay? So here's all of the posts for the fashion category, and here's all of the posts. There's only one post in the sport category, right? So do you see how I took the same card component and put it in a completely different looping situation, which was a nested loop where I loop categories first, and then I needed to loop the posts that are in that category. And my category card, because it uses an object prop, just had to be told which loop to get its data from. And everything gets injected the way that it's supposed to. This was extra credit. This was extra credit. We do have to I got to get lunch. We got to get out of here. But give me some love in the chat right now if you liked the extra credit. If you liked the extra credit. We just tested out our object prop to see if it would maintain its workability in a new looping context. And it did. It did. I know there's like a 20-second delay on our chat, but I mean, come on, that's and how quick did and I used my existing loop to do it. And I'm not convinced that it broke. Let's see if it breaks the other loops. So I'm just gonna drop this postcard in here, and I'm gonna go wrap in loop, and then I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do posts, and I'm gonna do item, and I'm gonna do loop get div container. This needs to be I can't do convert to list right here. But I can wrap this in a div, and I can make that an LI, and I can make that a UL, and I can say new list, something like that, and I can make this new list display grid, grid template columns of grid 3. Grid, how about auto? Grid auto 2. Okay. And then when I get my postcard or my loop to have more items, quantity -1. Okay. Div container, grid auto 2, grid 2. Oh, I'm putting it on the wrong thing. Yeah. Did I? Div, li, div, postcard. What's my, oh yeah. That's dumb. That's stupid. Okay, take that out of there. You gotta loop the correct things. Loop, always loop the list item. Okay, there's my li being looped. Okay, now I'm back in action. So let's click my loop. I want a quantity of -1 because I want all of them. Container, new list. Okay, that can get display grid. Now I have a 2-column grid. I don't want these to be dark. I want them to be light. There we go. That's looking good. And notice that the category, so what I was testing just now, what I was trying to figure out, did that category argument break my existing loops? And the answer is no, because see, I don't actually have to define what category it's pulling them from. When it doesn't get a value for that cat argument, it's just gonna use all categories. It's gonna pull a normal post loop. And that's why I like doing it without a tax query, because I think a tax query, you have to have the arguments in there. And with that little shorthand cat argument right here, which I'll show you again, this little line right there, you don't need a value. It will still function if that does not have a value. If there's any WordPress experts that feel like that's not the correct way to do that for whatever reason, let me know. But it seems to work for me. It seems to work for me. And it adds a lot of flexibility. Because now I could literally come here and be like, by the way, if I wanted to statically, like, let's do this. Let's throw a heading in here. Okay, it's gonna be in the div, in the grid, so just ignore that part for a second. But let's say I wanted to do fashion, and I wanted to manually say cat ID is 4, it'll only pull fashion posts. See, it'll only pull, or if I did 1, you know, for whatever the other one, I think 1 is fashion. So it'll only pull fashion. And I can statically control that. Or I can dynamically control it the way I did up here in this nested loop situation. I have tremendous flexibility with how these things are operating. Okay? All right, man, I just feel like if you watch this stream, now, are you gonna be a component master? It takes some practice. And the reason it takes practice, let's just say the truth. The reason it takes practice is because no other platform has allowed you to do this before. And you need to practice to learn what all the available power is at your fingertips now. Right? That's all it is. By the way, I mean, look at this component. Let's just take a second to just look in here for a second. Not a single instance of conditional logic. Not one conditional logic block in here. We did all with not a single use of conditional logic. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. Container queries, CSS based on dynamic data, object prop. Not a single instance of conditional logic for what was effectively a post that can be dropped into any loop. It can have multiple styles. It can be dark or not dark. It can change its heading level. Not a single use of conditional logic. Amazing. Amazing. I could throw in conditional logic if I wanted to, but I wasn't required to. Nothing I needed to do required conditional logic. Let's throw in just for a little icing. Just for a little icing, okay? Let's throw this in. Has caption, okay? We're not going to have it by default. Grab that. Let's just look how easy this is. Right click, wrap in condition, props dot has caption. You need conditional logic? You got yourself some conditional logic. How easy? How easy is that? By the way, okay? Now, we've got a big announcement coming for Gutenberg. This is a functional synced pattern inside of a nested loop, okay? There's a lot going on here. This synced pattern is a legitimate sync pattern in Gutenberg, okay? And this is now, literally this whole card, I could put this on patterns.etchwp.com. There's probably some cleanup I would want to do. But you could copy this into your website, right? And by the way, all these, I mean, look at this. Look at this. Okay? This is client, determining. Now, Gutenberg cannot handle container queries yet because Gutenberg is a trash can. And it's one of the reasons for our Gutenberg announcement that is coming up, okay? I'll wait for the blog post to come out. How about that? The blog post will explain everything. But I will give you some teasers, okay? Number one, all the current rendering issues in Gutenberg are about to go away, and they're not going to come back because of a architectural change that we're making. That's number one. So it will be perfection in here. It will be perfection in here. But number two, I'll just allude to this right now, okay? You will be able to create components like this, or even patterns, or even full templates in Etch and run them on a non-Etch website. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. Just saying. And they'll work perfectly out of the box. Which means you could literally just design raw patterns or even components or loops or conditions or dynamic data stuff or any of the complexity that you know and love from Etch. You could build all of that and literally sell it. Think about this for a second. Or share it. I mean, if you wanted to share it, you could share it for free. But you could sell it to any WordPress user for any project, even if it doesn't have Etch. Ecosystem is about to change. The ecosystem of WordPress is about to change. All right, that's all I got for you today. Love you guys. Appreciate the support.